they'll be very pious, especially you see that in India, they'll do their puja, worship, everything. But then in the evening, they'll also watch movies, TV and so on. Because they haven't come to the level of pure goodness, the different modes are competing for attention and they tend to dominate and supremacy. So, in the spiritual world, as Prabhupada says in the purport, the Lord is the sublime enjoyer of everything, and the living entities are engaged in His transcendental loving service, which are free of the material modes of nature. So, in the spiritual world, there is only one enjoyer. Like, for example, how have we ended up in the material world? As we've all heard, at one time, we were all residents of the spiritual world, isn't it? Krishna bhai mukha ana bhoga vancha kare, nikata samaya tale chapatya dhare. Prema Vivarta says that the moment the living entity develops a desire to become God's competitor or enjoy like God, then he has to leave the spiritual world and come to the material world, where he experiences nothing but misery. So in the spiritual world, Krishna is the only enjoyer, the Lord is the only enjoyer. That recognition should be there, and of course, having come to the material world and experienced nothing but misery, anyone with intelligence will recognize the importance of rendering pure devotional service. Now, in this purport, Prabhupada emphasizes the importance of pure devotional service. And then Prabhupada quotes a famous verse from the Narada Pancharatna. What is that famous verse? Sarvapali Brahmanam Rishikena Rishikena Sevanam Bhakti Ruchikena. So this verse describes the essence of devotional service. That one who wants to render pure devotional service, he just wants to serve the Lord. Because the Lord is also known as Rishikesha. Rishikesha means the proprietor of the senses, the owner of the senses. And now the Pancharatna states, Sarvapali Vinirmuktam, that one in order to become free of these designations, we should engage in service to the Lord with a body, mind and senses. And that is the perfection of religion or devotional service. So what is being emphasized here is that one should engage in unalloyed devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, someone may say, but this is not so easy to do, unalloyed devotional service. And in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna does explain that people come to me due to 4 factors, isn't it? One is the inquisitive, the other is the genuine seeker of knowledge, the third is the distress, and the fourth, one who wants money. Krishna says it doesn't matter what these reasons are, at least you're coming to me. But he does say, the best of the 4, however, is one who comes to me desirous because as a result of knowledge. So Krishna does emphasize, now all 4 are good, I like all 4, because at least they're coming to me and getting purified. But the best is one who comes to me without motivation or with a niskam bhava. Sakam bhava also people with Krishna accepts, but he prefers somebody who comes from a selfless devotional service point of view. Now, we may be motivated, we may have different factors, but the different reasons for coming to devotional service. But the process of devotional service is so powerful and so potent that if we come in this process, we get purified, and we get purified and realize the only thing that will satisfy me is pure devotional service. So, in the last two paragraphs of this purport, Prabhupada is making the point, perfection of life can be attained simply by purifying the present position of our material activities. In other words, when you come to spiritual life, you don't stop your activity. As you were explaining last night, sometimes people think, if I'm going to read the Bhagavad Gita, if I'm going to base my life according to religious principles, then I'll become inactive, disinterested, etc. Now, coming to spiritual life, cultivating spiritual knowledge, means you see things in the right perspective. Not that you become inactive, not that you become lazy, or not that you renounce your genuine duties. And we see this example in Krishna instructing Arjuna to proceed with the battle, but with one caveat, which was dedicate your mind and intelligence and do it for my pleasure. If you do that, then that purifies your activity. So Krishna consciousness means executing purified activities. Krishna consciousness means executing a disciplined, purified life. Krishna consciousness doesn't mean that you just renounce everything and just do bhajan all day. Of course, if you do chanting all day like Kailash Thakur is a very good example. But everyone's not capable of that. So Prabhupada adjusted things in a practical way. Just like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would make his followers chant 64 rounds a day. And he said if you didn't chant 64 rounds, one should be considered fallen. But Prabhupada, when he started this Krishna conscious movement, he knew that 64 rounds a day may not be too practical. And he also had the mission of establishing, fulfilling Lord Chaitanya's prediction. And what was Lord Chaitanya's prediction? That in every town and village, this Krishna consciousness should be there. Every town and village people should chant. So, realizing the realities, Prabhupada fine-tuned the instructions given by the predecessor acharyas to make it practical for us to follow them and still execute Krishna consciousness. Like chanting 16 hours a day attentively is not an insurmountable task. It can be easily done if one is serious about it. So, what Prabhupada is stating in the purport is that we should purify our mind and senses, and that is what devotional service means. We engage in the path by which we purify our mind and senses. And this is devotional service. So, one may be living in a family situation, no problem. Here in the purport, Prabhupada is saying that we get attached. So attachment will also always be there, but it's more healthy to have attachment with a positive. Attachment with a positive means attachment to the concept of serving the Lord in whichever situation we may be. And one who sees things in the right perspective will never get defeated. In the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, Krishna says, for the wise man, there is no happiness or limitation, either for the living or the dead. When we get excessively attached to the environment, to the people around us, relatives, etc., when something happens to someone, then what happens? We are grief-stricken. But if from the beginning we saw things in the right perspective, and we did our duty, let's say you have relatives, children, bring them up in God-conscious atmosphere. We have relatives, sure, certain